You got to show us the question. Is property investment your vehicle for financial freedom? Because if it is, you might want to know how to refinance and get commercial valuations. Isn't that right, Trisha? Isn't that right? This one is going to be the one where you can apply it to many strategies. So if there are any specific questions you have about refinancing, no matter what level or what stage you are at, then let us know in the comments right now. Let's make sure we got enough videos out there so people can even get to this stage, get to the place where you've brought an investment property because you know what to look for, you know where to look for it, you know how to work the numbers and analyze the deal and make offers and all of that stuff. And then what you're able to do is take it through a refurb and then get to the place where you've added immense value to a property, which then enables you to refinance it. And then on some occasions, or most occasions for us, get a commercial valuation. Why? Because we are looking to not just refurb, just to refurbish, but also get a conversion on the go. Yeah, so we get a conversion on the go. So it's not just, a lick of paint here or there. We convert the whole property. So that is very, very useful. So, Mrs., let's do this. What questions?
Get more questions.
No, there's no questions. Well, if there is questions.
Yeah, there is. I want it.
Yeah,
so, listen, what I want from you, because this is what happens this is what happens on a daily, hourly basis. Like questions all the time about HMO, commercial valuations, how do you do it? How does it work? If I'm new in property, there's always questions about it, right? All the time. So this is your opportunity to ask these questions and get your answers live, because this is a really good subject. Because as a lot of you may know, and the ones that don't know, when we started out in property, we did HMO for our first deal. So when I learned the numbers in property and what I could make, I wanted to go straight for HMOs because that was going to get me to my outcome a lot quicker. So when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, what are we looking at on the back end? So commercial valuations is starting with the end in mind. So it's looking at what's the valuation likely to be on the asset at the end, when you've finished, when you've added value, or when you've turned it into a different product. So, for example, our first deal was one that we bought in Derby for 100,000, and it was just a 3-bedroom house that was in quite a poor condition. And so we could have obviously done a refurbishment on this and just sold it on as a flip. But we said this is a great area. It was only a quarter of the mile from the town centre. So we obviously knew the demand was there. We'd done a search on the demand and everything. And the end value, because we turned it into a 5-bedroom HMO with 5 en suites, and it was revalued at 245,000. So listen, get your questions on here. If you've got any questions about commercial finance and commercial valuations and how to deal with valuers and how to even look at this, how do you value them before they're even done? How do you search those kind of numbers? Lots and lots and lots of questions. Get them on here because I want to answer them, and as many of them as I can live. So this one, as I said, we bought it for 100,000 and it was worth 245,000, having spent 64,000 on it all in. So that means that when we remortgaged the property, we got all of our money back out of it, plus we made about 29,000 or so extra. So we made up a flip profit as well. And then we owned this asset that we had no money tied up in, that is just an infinite return in the cash flow because there's no money left in the deal. So it's brilliant. So we paid the investor back, they're happy as Larry, and now we've got a great cash flowing asset that gives us a really nice return. But we went straight into that. Now, there are ways. So with commercial valuations, again, the question we get a lot, there's a lot of different speculation out there as to how you can do it and when you can do it, things like that. So if you're brand new into investing and it's going to be your first deal, listen, a lot of people, yes, they will say that they won't get commercial lending and things like that. Now, obviously, we're not FCA regulated, so we can't give you financial advice. Always go to your own financial advisors and your brokers and things like that to get that kind of advice. But just in our experience, we can share things that we've found that work and continue to work for us and the rest of our tribe nationally, and some in other countries, because we have people everywhere in real life. So it's really interesting that, yeah, we started brand new into property and went straight into commercial valuations for HMO with our first few deals, because what we did was we leveraged somebody else's experience to be able to become commercially mortgageable from day one. So when I found out that, yes, you need to have experience in property. Now, what the commercial lender wants to see is not necessarily HMO experience, for example, but just the experience that you've ran property as a business, so owned some buy-to-lets or bought and sold some and things like that. So you've got a asset that you can show that you've got made money from, paid the mortgages on time, you've run it successfully. That's what they want to see before, so that then when they're lending you money, they know that you're going to be looking after them and making sure that they are paid and that you can adequately run this asset, because that's what it is. It's a business function that you have to look at when it's commercial, because that's how they value it. They value it as a going concern business. The thing is with like HMOs and commercial valuations is that when they're looking at the property, they are looking at, right, the valuer will come out to view the property, and what he will look for is how easily, if we were to repossess the property, so if you weren't able to pay the money for each monthly bill and we were to repossess it from you, how easily would it sell back on? Would it be able to be just turned back into a house and we could sell it on residentially? Or would it need to be sold on as a going concern business? So it's about how much work you're willing to do to the asset as well. Because
yeah, exactly. But on that part as well, it depends how easy it is for someone to just buy a house next door or on the same street or a couple of streets away and do the same thing to it. So because like if you want to take a house that you bought for 100, spend 60 on it, and then get it valued for, I don't know, say 300, because that's what you know, that's what the what's the rent
the multiplier.
Yeah, the rent multiplier. So people are like, oh yeah, we're just going to go off the rent and then rely on that. But if the rent multiplier adds up to 300, but it's easy enough for someone to buy another house for 100 because the houses are cheap and you can just get many of them, and then you can spend 60 on it. Well, that's like 160. So
that's how they look at it. Yeah.
That kind of lowers the value of something because they're easier to produce. It's like anything. The more prestigious, the more rare something is, then the more valuable it becomes. And that, to answer your question, my friend, is how you would ensure that you're getting. Oh no, so he's asking, well, how would you ensure that you're commercially mortgageable? I mean, yeah, like Trisha said, getting a joint venture to.
Yeah, so how we did it, we leveraged. So when we were starting, we were like, okay, what do we need? So we needed finance, but we also wanted somebody that was commercially mortgageable right now that we could piggyback off to make ourselves commercially mortgageable. So for example, that first deal we did with somebody that was mortgageable now commercially and could give us the money, because that was part of what we were looking for in an investor, to team up with them to get the commercial mortgageability, and also we were looking for them for investor funds. Then for the deals after that, we were commercially mortgageable because we were already on a mortgage with the commercial bank by that point. So all the other deals consequently then made us able to get them by ourselves because we had grabbed the experience from the investor from this deal. So it made us commercially mortgageable right now. So it's like, it's interesting because I agree, like what Mark's saying is, for example, you can have houses that like people buy them, put a bed in the lounge and put a lock on the door and call it a bedroom. Now, I get that is,
and sometimes that works
it
for some
sometimes
people.
does work.
It's a strategy.
It is a strategy.
It's like a form of doing something. But when we're talking about refinancing and how many doors this opens, if you understand the steps of how to take a property, force the appreciation, because you're making it something different than it is, for then the bank to be able to say, use common sense and say, hey, look, this is now worth this for X, Y, and Z reason. Now, those reasons can be different every time. It could be the same. It could be, a combination. And this is where either people don't understand. They get very pernickety, and they're like, oh, well, you're saying it works on the multiplier, but this time something got down by it because they said it doesn't work like that. Yeah, because there's multiple different ways that you can do it, and it's about making sure that you're doing the right thing for the right reasons. That's the real life method anyway. But you're doing the due diligence up front. So you're going through the steps of what it would look like on the back end, what the valuer is saying, how would they do it in that area? Because at the end of the day, somebody has got to go out to that property, use the information available, and then have an opinion on it and be able to back that opinion up with that information. That's as simple as it works, isn't it?
Do you want to know a tip? Like, we have a really awesome tip. So the way that we buy our property, the way we pretty much do everything, is we do a bridge to let product. Now, what that means is, and I find that this is the best for us and our situations, just in our experience, because the valuer is from the bank. So the bank employs the valuation company. You'll always get like a choice of 3 with certain lenders. But the bank, who is generally, like, we've used Shawbrook, Redwood Bank, there's lots of other banks out there, so you can get your own, off your broker on which ones are going to suit you. But for example, Shawbrook will say, we want a short-term loan, which is the bridge for however long to begin with, but then it's going to be refinanced on a term mortgage after the renovation has been completed, because we're transferring it into a 6-7 bedroom HMO, whatever it is, okay? So what happens is, they send then a valuer out to say, it's worth 100,000 now, which is what we're paying for it. And then at the same time, we have to provide the building schedule of works with all the costings and everything on. And then the valuer says, likely at the end, when they have completed works that they have said they're going to do, and with the rents, market rents, blah, 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 it is likely to be worth this. So it's a prop valuation. Now, the prop valuation is powerful in my experience, because they're valuing it now to say, it's worth 100K, but then I've got a valuation from the valuer that's also going to be the same valuation company that comes back out. In our experience, it's generally the same company.
I know, but maybe it can be
it could be varied.
And here's the thing that people can't handle when it gets varied.
But then you've got a position where you've got at least the report that is saying, boom, it was worth this before, based on this, and this is what it's due to be worth at the end, based on what you're doing to it, right? So then when they send the valuer out 6 months later, or however long it takes to do the renovation, then you can say, boom, this is what you said it was going to be worth, now that my rents are even higher than you expected, because they'll generally go on market rents for the research on that particular valuation instead of what you're projecting. Because they, like, my HMO rooms go for a lot higher than the other rooms, for example. Should I stop for a minute because it's frozen? Am I back? Yeah. So, for example, like, the other rooms in the area will be like £200 a month less than mine. So they will go on market rents for their comparables, because they have to put comparable sold prices, comparable rents, to justify why they've got from 100K to 245,000. Because the bank is like, but they're only spending 50. So what's going on there, right? So you can imagine their surprise. But as long as they've got evidence, like Mark said, to back it up, then you're fine, right? So I make sure I've got everything that they need. And when Mark was saying, like, build the relationship, understand from the valuer's perspective, whenever I'm doing my way and buying it like this, for example, so I'll get a bridge product that's going to switch to a let with the same lender. The valuer comes out at the beginning, tells me what it's worth.
Like, most of the time, yes, but I just want to say that it can vary. And if it does vary and things change and things come up and down values happen and people can test it, it happens all the time. You just need to know how to exit.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to know how to handle it when it does go wrong, because believe me, we have been there with the down values. Like, it happens, and yeah, it's a horrible feeling at the time when your stomach is like, oh my God, what do I do now? And your investor's going, my money's supposed to come back. And it's like,
but the first time, but when you're in a tribe of people that's happened many, many times, then
yeah, but you know how to do it. Like, when, for example, we had one, it was really funny. To me, it was funny. We bought it for 95 and we spent 32 or something on it, made it into a 4-bedroom HMO in an Article 4 area. So it was 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, small little kitchen area, and not licensable. Bought it for 95, spent 32, and the valuer came back out at the end and valued it at 165. And I was like, are you having a laugh? Because the comparables were like 300K, 280, things like that. Anyway, I refused to accept it. And then just because we had a change of heart and another big deal, we decided with the investor that actually, screw it, we're going to sell it. Because again, we always have 3 exits with any property purchase that we go into. That was one of our exits. Let it, sell it as a going concern. So we then sold it in 3 days, off market, cash buyer, 250,000. So then we put that report into the bank, and they then raised a complaint to say, how can you value this property at 165 and within a week it's sold for 250,000 off market? So it helps you. And I know that may not be everybody's situation, but what I'm saying is when you've got the right comparables, you can argue it. I've gone to appeal before, which, not always is a great thing. I'll go to that in a minute. But like, appeal's not always a great thing to do, because sometimes, valuers will always want to protect themselves and things like that, which I get. So I've switched lenders before and had to pay a valuation fee again just to go to a different lender. But again, it's like, I don't take no for an answer. I just don't do it. So it's how hard are you willing to fight? I remember there's a tribe member from one particular area. They had been to a local PIN meeting, and the person running the PIN has been investing in that area for 15 years and said, there is no way in hell you will ever get a commercial valuation in this area. I've been trying 15 years. I've got this property and I've never been able to achieve it. Well, she went through the real life training and she achieved a commercial valuation on her first HMO. So honestly, there is a method on how it can work if you just follow the strategy and follow the steps.
So someone's asking about buying a 4-bedroom house. Do you have any good deals back in Hampshire? I'm not sure what you mean, but if you're looking at 4-bed, turning that to HMO, then that's good. Let me know what question you have with that. But someone's saying, if you don't have any credibility, is it possible to still get a refinance? So, credibility in regards to what? Doing HMO projects? I mean, we're just...
So is that down to experience again?
Yeah, it comes down to experience. But then it also comes down to, look, if this is what you want to do and this is the game you want to get into, then joint venturing is the way. I mean, I think joint venturing is the way anyway. One of my goals is to have over 100 joint venture businesses. Why? Because I want to bring experience, and I want to share with people, and I want to learn and grow from them and their connections and their growth as well. Because the more people you help get what they want, the more that you actually get what you want.
Exactly.
And how you can deliver. So getting a joint venture is going to give you the credit. Like, if there's any concern you don't have the credibility, then you've got to find someone with the credibility. Because we found many people, we have people with high paying jobs, which the banks say, yeah, well, okay, worst case scenario, they can cover the payments between them. We've had people who have a number of HMOs already themselves. So clearly they were commercially mortgageable.
But they weren't doing it. We had people like that.
Yeah, but they didn't want to do it because of the time, or they've been through, they've had their stage and moved on to other things now, and just was like, well, I'll put my money into this deal if you guys are going to do it. So that's another one. I think there's another question that probably is a similar answer to, because what if your joint venture is commercial?
Isn't.
Yeah, well, let's face it. If a requirement is to get a commercial valuation, or you want to be in a good position to do so, then
that would have been ironed out before you got to that point.
Well, that's not the joint venture for you in this particular deal.
Yeah.
Maybe there is another deal that you guys can hook up on. Because remember, one of the best ways to even start considering a joint venture is that you have something they don't, and they have something that you don't, because then you can work together and it's more valuable, and it's just a better foundation to even start considering.
Exactly, and it's always, remember, as well as joint venturing with somebody that has got experience, there are many other ways to get commercial lending as well. So this is just one strategy that you can look in that's really, really useful. But you also get a great commercial broker as part of your power team, and then start speaking to them from the earliest convenience about the type of deals you're doing, the area that you're doing them at, and get them to know your financial standing. And then they'll be able to best advise you on, okay, these kind of lenders are looking more favorably on new investors right now, so you could be looking to work with these. You know, they'll be able to tell you which lenders are more favorable, because there are lenders out there that will lend to first-time HMO landlords as well. You just might not get the full commercial valuations yet, but it will at least get you on the ladder for experience if that's your outcome. I wanted to get all money out of my deal. So I said to my broker, what do I need to do to be able to get commercial lending from a commercial bank right now? Because I wanted the full 75% loan to value as well. I wasn't willing to take 60 and 50% by going and learning with some banks. So he said, the best thing you can do is partner up with somebody that has experience right now, and then you will be able to piggyback off their experience and therefore get in with the bank. And I said, right, okay, brilliant. I'll do whatever it takes. So that's what we did at the beginning. But like I say, there are other options that you can utilize to get to that point. There's guarantors for your mortgages that you can use for experience by giving them a percentage of the cash flow. You know, there's loads of things that you can do, adding people on as directors in the businesses, as shareholders, whatever, you know, lots and lots of ways to be creative with the strategies. And this is funny. Yeah. So do you always go for lower value houses to start with? Okay.
So it's funny because people are always saying, oh, you know, below market value and cheap house and all of this. You've got to remember that do not get clouded by what people say the value is or the asking price or any of that stuff. It's all about the difference and the gap you can create between what you're buying the property for and what you're going to spend on it and what the done-up value is, especially when it comes to refinancing, but any deal as well, in terms of how you want to have the equity and the money in there, because that's really important to just realize that they're really the only numbers you need to take care of.
Yeah.
You know, what's it be? What are you paying for it? What's it going to cost? And what's the done-up value? And you need to create the biggest gap. So don't get clouded by only looking for low value properties. I'm not saying don't go for them. In fact, do go for them. But you want to create the biggest gap.
Yeah.
So if you are on a street where generally the houses are, let's say, I don't know, 220, I'm just thinking of one that we're doing right now, yeah, and we managed to get it for 180,
yeah,
then, and it was in Article 4 as well, then that is already lower. So instantly creating a bigger gap between what we're buying for and what we're going to spend on it and what the done-up value is.
Yeah.
Because all we did was got change of use and then time the exchange and completion to be very quick after, and the valuation went up what?
Yeah,
70 grand.
Yeah.
75 grand.
Yeah.
So all we did was change use, and the house is worth £75,000 more than what we paid for it, and we haven't even done anything yet. So again, creating more of a gap.
And like force that, because the thing is, you want properties that are commercially mortgageable to start with. So for example, you can't look at getting 3 and 4 bed houses generally through on a commercial valuation. In my experience, I have managed to get a 4 bed through on a commercial mortgage and valuation, but that was because it was in an Article 4 area. So there are some caveats that you can look at based on that, but you were looking at least 5-6 bedrooms for HMOs, and where possible, always add en suites into the rooms. In my experience, that obviously makes it a fully fledged commercial unit, because then in that house, you can't just repossess it and sell it to a family, because there's en suites in all the rooms, waste pipes everywhere, only one central communal area in the center of the house, very commercial, all your full-on alarm systems, emergency lighting. We have ongoing businesses. So if they were to repossess the house from us, they've got fully let, very high rent coming in as well, and an excellent asset that is being maintained continuously. So that the bank are happy to lend on something that they know is going to be a valuable asset to lend to. And they know that by what you're going to do to it and the experience that you can show. Or it's like we were at the beginning and we created a relationship with the bank. When you're starting your lending options for your HMOs and whatever commercial lending that you're looking to do, find out who the valuers are that are coming to the property. So I want to know who is it, obviously, because most of the time you'll get to choose. But if you don't get a choice of which valuer and it's just one person or one business, ring the company and find out who it is that's coming. I want to know who it is so I can start speaking to them, creating relationships, saying, look, I've got a list of comparables. I've got a list of what I'm going to do to the property and the schedule of works and everything. I'd like to send it to you to make your life easier.
Because it's part of the due diligence to understand what's it going to look like on the back end. Because again, done up value and then the valuation that finally gets done is going to be someone's opinion that's backed up by information that's available. So by speaking to the people that are actually going to do this work, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a part of your due diligence and what you need to do. We've got another question here. Is a JV/investor that is commercially mortgageable that only means to start the journey using this model? I mean, I wouldn't say so.
No.
I mean,
I think we were just saying before.
The question before was how do you ensure? You know, you said how do you ensure that you get commercial valuation, and that is have someone in the team, a part of the job, a part of the company, you know, on the mortgage that is commercially mortgageable. Yeah, another way, like Trisha was saying, is the bank just needs to see how you are going to pay it back. We had someone in our tribe raise over £500,000 in commercial finance purely on the way that it was going to be, how the payments and how it was going to be repaid. Yeah, so again, that's another way of just being able to show and prove that this is how the payments are going to be remade to you, and how you're going to make sure that you can fulfill the lending. You know, because that's the beauty of the commercial. There is the common sense, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure anyone would say
they
that.
look around it a lot more. Like residential lending is regulated, so they're not so open-minded about stuff. But see, that question. So no, that's not the only way that you can get commercial lending by doing a joint venture and stuff like that with other people. That's why have an excellent commercial broker in your team, not somebody that says they're a commercial. Like, I'm going to get un-PC here, but like, do you want honesty? It's real life, right? So in my experience, there are brokers that say they are commercial, but they're not. They're residential brokers that, deal with lenders that will lend on a commercial asset, but they're not commercial. So I could name and shame lots of banks on here, and I'm desperate to do so, but I don't want to. But there are certain lenders that I just wouldn't work with, and they get thrown out there to people that are new in the market all the time, saying use these because they know you'll get a mortgage with them. But when they then come back and say, well, where's my commercial valuation? You won't get one with that lender because that's not how they work. So there are lenders that will work with you when you've got no experience. And if you get the right broker, they'll know how to position your application to the bank. They'll have great relationships with the commercial lenders. They can give the advice on your experience and the way that you've looked at it and how you've looked into your builder and everything like that and your plan. Because it's all about, like, what are you going to do and how are you going to manage this then? Show me how, strong you are. Like, we had a call with the bank. We had a call with the commercial bank at the beginning and said, look, this is how we see it. We have this many deals. We have this build team. Mark was like, I used to be a builder. But again, I'm not saying you have to have been an ex-builder, but like, listen, explain to them your background.
They talk to you. And here's the thing, like, you've got to stay in communication. Just because you don't know the answer to something or you can't come across squeaky clean, people just shy away from it. Look, you don't need to know all the answers. I don't know all the answers. For sure, I don't know all the answers. I mean, Trisha might know all the answers because she's always right. But I don't know. I don't know all the answers. I know that for sure.
You're always left.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So but there's even people on here, Sam is saying technically you don't need a commercial experience. Again, he's saying he uses a long-term buy-to-let landlord experience, and then they say
exactly.
that obviously you're in the game to be able to do it.
You don't need to have had HMOs before it. Like I said at the beginning, you just need for the fully fledged commercial banks, they just want to see that you've ran a investment property for a period of time and successfully paid back the bank over a period of time. That's what it is. That's why a lot of them will say 6 months, 12 months, things like that. But you can go straight into HMO and have a great lender. There are lots of lenders now that are being a lot more savvy when it comes to lending to first-time investors, as long as you are strong, as long as you have good feedback, as long as you do your due diligence properly. Obviously, just make sure that you work your numbers and start with the end in mind, looking after things properly, and get an excellent broker in your team. And if, yes, you want to go straight in for the big stuff, then look to work with a joint venture that has commercial experience already. It's absolutely a wonderful way to start your journey, gaining experience and knowledge off them as well, but getting straight onto the commercial bank from day one.
And just having something on your books in terms of, this is my experience as well. So we've got a question here. What are the 3 typical exits for HMO that gets, for example, undervalued? So how do you get out if you want to do that? I mean, it's worth mentioning when it comes to, undervalued or downvalued or whatever terminology people want to use. In our experience, there's 2 types. Yeah, one is it's undervalued by a few thousand here or there, sometimes 10 or 15,000, 20,000. And that is just kind of like here or there in terms of the judgment or the end result or what information was available to back up the opinion. Then you've got undervalues that are like 100,000, 100,000 plus on the down valuation, even when you got the information that says it's plus.
I remember when we got that.
Yeah, but hold on, because the first, let's cover the first type. The first type is just, it is what it is. And usually we wouldn't do anything about that. We wouldn't want to contest it or anything, because we'll just use another deal that we got more money out to supplement it, or that you can do a flip. Yeah, you can do a flip to generate capital income in the same company to be able to,
So for example, if your HMO was down value by 20,000 and then you did a flip that sold with 20,000 profit, then it evens out across the 2 deals.
Yeah, or now you've just got like a guaranteed return that you can pay an investor for the money that's left in. So when you say exit, that's cool. I mean, obviously selling is one, contesting it another if it's a big one, but also another exit is using another. And this is the beauty of when applications open for come deal with me. So come deal with me, you guys, like, no matter what happens, because let's face it, everything goes wrong. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why I want to do this. That's why we are going to record every step of the way, come deal with me, where we do a deal with one of you, going to come deal with us. And, even if something like this happens, you get down value and we can't get the money out, then what we'll do is we'll just do another project with you. This is how it's going to happen, because don't think you're just going to come deal with me and do one deal. We're going to set you up or enhance what you've already got, so you can run multiple projects to scale and build your wealth quicker. So you want to stay tuned and subscribe to YouTube channel, our Facebook page and Instagram, LinkedIn, because when we release the applications, you guys are going to get to apply, and then there'll be a winner who wins that prize. But just going back to this, so you can either sell it, or then you've got a fixed, or you got income coming in. So an investor's like, yeah, okay, so from month 1, when my money goes in, I can start receiving passive income from my money. So that's another way. Kura saying, it works by following the steps. Prime example, because you had a massive down value.
So me and Kudra, it's really funny. So we had a first coaching call with Kudra, and we were talking over this deal, and it was HMO commercial valuation that she was hoping to get. And I think the number that we were looking at the time was what it was coming out. I was about 230,000. And I was like, are you joking? I was like, in that area for that much rent and what you've done to it, you should be looking at least 350,000. So we went back, we redid the deal, went to the broker, and she got 100,000 extra on the valuation. So she made 100,000 in one coaching call. She was delighted, and couldn't believe it because just following the system, doing it properly, putting it across properly.
So how long does the refinance process take from start to finish if you buy a property for cash and refinance after refurbishment? So and obviously you're asking that. I mean,
so refinance process. So for example, with yours,
how long will it take generally?
With any, what I do on my properties is buy when there's about 6 weeks left. Between 5 and 6 weeks, I start my refinance, and I also start my tenant letting.
Yeah, but on a general basis, how long does it take, roughly?
So from refinance, so if you're doing a bridge to let product, generally takes between 4 and 6 weeks to do the switch.
Cash.
If you're doing it cash,
how long does it take?
So it's just a new mortgage, so 5-6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then exactly what Trisha said. She said 6 weeks. She starts.
I start 6 weeks before because you do your paperwork, and then
an easy way to explain is that you want to time the project. It depends now. It depends because if you just want it valued based on the project is finished and the conversion is done, then you time it to have the valuer come around by the time that is finished.
We literally, the builders are leaving and the valuer comes in, and then the tenants move in after when they don't want him to go in before they mess the rooms.
But that's the next part. The next part is it depends what you want to do. Do you want it as the builders are finished, so immediately as soon as it's like viewable in the finished state, or do you want the valuer to come around when you've got all the ASTs so that the tenants have moved in because you're going to use that part of your
information? Or get it fully let before or even as soon as it's finished, and then the valuer comes round, and before they've moved in you can say, yeah, but look at all the ASTs, and they're like, oh my god. So it's fully let before it's even finished. That's a huge boost for him because then he's like, that adds to the value. It shows that the demand must be really high. Oh, great. Yeah, so you've got to be putting yourself in the most strong position, because I don't like to have any voids. I want to make money from day one, and I want to get my money back on my refinance as fast as possible. So I will time everything into the minute detail of literally builders are leaving, valuer is going in within the hour, and then tenants are moving in either that same day or the following day, because it's just, quick. And then from the moment the valuer comes around to do the valuation on the property when it's finished, he'll take 5 days to get the report back. Generally, it takes between 5 and 7 days. And then the bank will then get the offer out to you within 5 to 7 days. And then once you've got the offer, then you look to draw down within a week. So it's very, very quick process from that point.
So some questions for you.
How do we find commercial brokers? So you can ask for recommendations online. So we have access to so many amazing groups online for property forums and things like that, and going to like PIN meetings.
I know a decent group online.
Oh yeah, maybe there's a few.
Real life or something like that.
Oh yeah,
real life wealth creation.
Real life. So yeah, we've got really good groups online. You can go in there and ask for recommendations. There's a lot of brokers that people are working with successfully, getting really, really good results. So there's lots and lots of ways that we can do that. And definitely, you're in the tribe, so we can help you. What is the best source to find a local commercial valuer in your chosen area? So in my opinion on that one, they don't have to be local. So our broker lives in Essex, so it's from like Colchester area. So we obviously live a good 2.5 hours away from him. It doesn't have to be someone local. It has to be someone that has a great knowledge in the industry, knows how to deal with down values. Like, that's my thing. I'm like, how do you deal with a down valuation? What would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? Because when I can understand that he's got the strong gumption to fight for me and my deals and things like that, that's somebody I want to work with. Not somebody that goes, well, this is the valuation number, I'm afraid. So, and I go, okay, well, that's clearly a joke. We can't accept that.
Yeah,
what are we going to do?
It's to do the right job. Like, someone's job is to make sure everybody is a winner. So the bank is covered, they are covered, we are covered, people are making money. We're using the bank for the purpose that it's meant
Meant to
for,
be
which
used,
is
yeah.
like leverage. So we
Commercial
can do
lending.
more, and we can add more people, value to more people, and we can scale quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a question has come up again. Can you ask for a commercial valuation on your first HMO? Let me tell you, my friend, you can ask for anything. Yeah, you can ask for anything. But yeah, I mean, at the start of this video, we did cover that. But again, it's gonna come down.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can ask for everything, but ask for it and get it. It's like, yeah, having as much information as possible, like getting it fully let, rent out, and the rent's coming in. You got the ASTs to show that, but then also what's your credentials to be able to, foresee this through.
Each bank has their own lending criteria, so that's why I have an excellent broker to understand which banks would be the best ones for you to work with based on your background, financial standing, credit experience, etc. There's a lot things that come up commercially, but like Mark said before, commercial lenders are a lot more open-minded, and they'll look at the background of the situation, forward-thinking, and looking for, okay, how is my asset protected, and how are they going to fund my income, my payments on my mortgage? Once you show that you've got a great asset that's paying really good rents, and it's showing that they're going to get their money back very easily by the rents, that they're happy, and based on your experience, in certain banks will have different lending requirements. Some are very strict on some are like 2-3 years experience.
Yeah. Awesome.
So put some on it.
So this is regarding Article 4. So do you purchase subject to getting planning permission for HMOUs? Have you ever pulled out of the deal because you could not get planning permission?
So thank you for the question, Clive. So
I'm excited she's getting.
I am, because this is my favourite subject. So with our Article 4 or any area that you require planning permission, so it might not be an Article 4, but we needed to wait for the actual completion of the purchase because it was going to be turned into like a 7-8 bed HMO. So we needed to get change of use for sui generis instead of just the normal C4 class. So yeah, absolutely. We'll get the offer accepted. And then I'll say to the agent or the vendor directly, I'll say, look, I'm happy to buy it for this price. So we'll agree a price that they're happy with, I'm happy with, that's not ripping them up, as we've seen in another forum. It's good for the vendor and for me. It works for both of us. So we'll agree a price between us. And then I'll say, look, I'm happy to complete within the normal conveyancing time of 8 to 10 weeks. So I'll get everything done in the background, and I'll keep you informed of how things are going ahead. I will be putting a planning application in, so I just need to make you aware, because you're currently the legal owner, obviously you need to be aware that I'm putting this notice in, but everything's good, right? So then I'll keep them in the loop. If it's an Article 4 area, for example, my planning agent and architect are a really important part of my team, because we'll know things about like how long was it that the last application was successful in this area, or was it declined in the area? Like, is it on the rise? Is it showing that we're more likely to get it through? How much percentage is there currently HMO in that area? So there's lots and lots of factors that we factor in when we're offering on properties, especially in Article 4. But in the sui generis, I'll just ring the council and say, how likely am I to get this through? And then if they don't really give me answers, I'll get my planning agent to ring them up, because he'll maybe have a better relationship, etc. And you'll build that up over time.
Well, we never pulled out one, have we?
We've never had to pull out of a deal because we've,
because it's the steps we use. It's the steps we use to do the due diligence beforehand.
We've never failed to get one through.
Yeah, before we even get into the situation. I suppose the toughest one was where we were battling getting getting the change of use, and then what came up was some flood report stuff. I mean, that's another story for another day. But yeah, excellent. That's good. So for first time, in terms of starting out, how much would you start with? Are you talking capital in terms of what you're investing? If you are, then you need to make sure you have at least 0. Well, yeah, you don't need any money to start out. If you got time, you're going to put it in, and you're going to learn and be coached by people who not just know how to get results for themselves, but get results for other people as well.
Yeah.
Then you don't need any money. We're only just starting to put money in, and we're not yet, but maybe in the next deal. Yeah. But we've built a portfolio of nearly £8 million in just under 2.5 years, and we use 0 of our own money. So if that's what you mean, then you don't need anything. what is a typical valuation multiplier? You know, it probably is fair play. You could say between 8 and 12. Would you say?
Yeah, between 8 and 12.
But don't rely on that though.
Yeah, and what I do, like worst case scenario, is I look at things this way: that I'll do annual rent at the end, obviously, annual rent times 10 minus 25% as my worst case scenario.
Well, that's
figure,
so funny because isn't it just times 7.5?
Well, you say this, but
Every time.
it does it to me every time. But one of the things,
more things on the
what is in different areas, like I know some areas is times by 8 from a values perspective in commercial. I know in some areas, yeah, it's times 10, but I know in like our Article 4 areas, of which we have 2, that's like times 14, times 16. Like it's crazy numbers over there. The best thing to do is get on the phone to your valuer that's coming out and ask them. And also when you're at the property, have the conversation.
Well,
that's nice.
Yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to answer as many questions in 2 minutes as we can, because people in the real life tribe, you have your mastermind at 8, and I want to give it for who's watching on here, I want to give you a break so you can freshen up and get ready for it. So look, do you typically go for 10 years fixed terms on lending?
Yes, we do. We always get 10 years.
No, typically, it depends what it is. It depends what the product is, and it depends what it want to do.
But I like to get 10 years because then I know where I am.
2 minutes, as many questions as possible. Okay. About 2 minutes per question. Yeah. What was your biggest challenge in the first year? I tell you, the biggest challenge for me was trusting the process so that it's just going to work. Anything for you? Oh, no. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge in the first year was
okay. So how do your challenges differ now? How do I find a building that can host at least 250 people to run an event from and own it? We want to own that building. And how do I buy a hotel? That's the challenges now. The
different challenges that I have now is trying to find people that can come on board and work with us full time to deal with the systems and things so that we can go and do what we're really skilled at instead of, spending a lot of time on accounting queries and all that kind of stuff, which I'm being totally honest, I would rather do anything else than deal with bookkeeping and accountancy stuff, but it's all part of life and business and you have to learn. So that's challenges that
awesome.
I have now.
So I'm glad you turned up and showed up here. If you didn't see the whole thing, when this is finally uploaded, go see it. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we don't just have videos like this that are like 34 minutes long. We have like 2 minute, 5 minute, 10-minute videos where you can learn little niche bits about all different areas of property investment. So real life wealth creation, go subscribe, because also that's where we're going to be releasing the Come Deal With Me process when the application's open. We got on Instagram, we're Real Life Group on Instagram. Follow us on there. Follow me, Mark Harvey, Trisha Harvey on LinkedIn, and then Real Life Group is on LinkedIn as well. Just you need to be everywhere, baby. When's it Come Deal With Me info going to be released? It's going to be towards the end of this. We're not telling you. No, we're kidding. It's going to be very soon. And the reason it's going to be very soon is we want to get this going, right? Because it's going to be so much fun. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so much fun to do. And I'm sure for you guys, it's going to be so much fun to watch. But look, if you want to go deeper in any of this, you want to scale your business, you want to scale not just your knowledge, but the implementation of your knowledge. That's very important. It's not just about the knowledge. Yeah, knowledge opens up space, but now you've got to fill that space with impact that you can bring. Then you want to come to one of our next events, Real Life Property Wave, Real Life Property Wealth, which is now a 2-day program.
Oh my God, there's so much amazing value that we're giving that we have to now spread it over 2 days.
Yeah, baby, 2 days.
I take too much time on the one day. It was my fault.
2 transformational days that is not just the logical information, it is also the information that you require to implement, not when you get home after the event. In the event, on the premises, in the room, right there that weekend. So make sure you do it. The next one, I don't know when you're watching this video, but the next one is 14th and 15th of September. So go to reallifepropertywealth.com and register your ticket now for free. Why for free? Because I want you to Try before you buy. So we'll give you 2 days for free. And if from there you want to go into, I mean, there is enough information in there to get you rocking and rolling. But if you then want to go further, faster, in different directions, across different creative strategies that build you long-term wealth, but also give you cash now, or you might want to go some over these details, or you might want to go on some mentorship. It's all available to you. But this 2 day, and we don't mind doing it for free. Why? Because this is part of our mission. This is part of what we do, and this is why one of the reasons that we wanted to be financially free in the first place, so we can do what we love, travel all around the world with our family and friends that we now have, close friends that are like-minded on the same mission as us. So much love to all of you guys. If you're in the tribe, you've got your mastermind starting at 8 o'clock, which is where we answer any questions, deal with anything that comes up for anyone in the tribe. Such a strong, loving support network.
Yeah.
One of the major reasons I'm told by other people that their success is what it is, because they've got people there to support them. All you need to do is show up and take advantage of the resources that the Real Life Tribe offer, and it is impossible to fail. But you've got to show up and take advantage of the resources. Now, some people do it in days, some people do it in weeks, some people take a few months and a bit longer, but that's okay as long as you stick at it. What do you think?
It's just because you're saying impossible.
No,
I'm really excited to see whoever is going to show up for themselves, show up for us. Just bring your energy. I guarantee when you leave the event after the 2 days, you're going to have more energy and adrenaline than you've ever felt in your entire life, in your being, and everything will change from that point forward. You'll see everything differently. Like, that's when people leave the event, they always say, oh my God, like, I've just been in my own way up until this point, and now I know what I want, I'm going to go get it. And they just feel love, they feel the support, they feel the network, and let's just come and have some fun with us. We want to see you there, we'll have some fun with you. So thank you for your amazing
good,
questions.
baby. Good job, you're amazing.
Good job.
Much love to you. Do the right thing for the right reason and figure out what real life is for you. See you soon. Bye-bye.